So heat can be in any form, boiling the milk, cooking the food, bonfire, or a fever. So if a person is getting a fever, so many a times what we do, we use the thermometer for measuring the temperature of the body. So we make the use of uh, a thermometer for measuring the temperature of the body. But in previous days there was no thermometer, so how do the people used to measure the temperature? They used to touch the person and they used to feel with the help of the skin whether the person is having fever or not. But this was not the right method to measure the temperature of the body. So this hotness is not the correct measurement of measuring the heat. Even the water also, so water is hot or cold, so we used to dip our hand in the water, two fingers we used to dip in the water and we used to think whether the water is hot or cold. Okay, so these things we can, sometimes we can reliable by our touching, but touching is not the correct method for measuring the temperature. So there are some instruments which are used to measure the temperature accurately, and the temperature is measured in Celsius or Fahrenheit. So even at your homes also you must have the digital thermometers. Here are some of the different thermometers that are used very widely in different places. Okay, now the thermometers are of different types and the measurement of the thermometer depends upon the Fahrenheit or Celsius. Fahrenheit or Celsius. Now this is the clinical thermometer. The picture you are seeing of the thermometer is a clinical thermometer. Now here in this picture you can see that the thermometer is long, narrow, and it is having a uniform glass tube. Okay, so you can see that the length of the thermometer is also a big, it is narrow and it is long, and it is also having a bulb at one end of the glass tube. Now this thermometer is having a glass tube at one end where the मर्क्यूरी, तो इस बल्ब के अंदर क्या होता है, मर्क्यूरी इज प्रेजेंट. व्हाट इज मर्क्यूरी? मर्क्यूरी इज अ स्मॉल शाइनिंग thread which is visible outside the bulb. Now this bulb is induced in the thermometer, and the reading of the thermometer can be seen with the help of the shining mercury thread which is visible from the outside, and inside there are some measurements given due to which you can easily read the temperature of the thermometer. You can easily read. So whenever you are dipping this thermometer in hot or cold surface, there is a rise of the mercury or there is a fall of the mercury. If the object is heated, the mercury will rise above, and if the you are measuring in the cold water, the temperature will go below, the mercury level will come downwards. Okay, this is about the clinical thermometer. Now what precaution you are supposed to take while using the clinical thermometer? So you are not supposed to wash the thermometer in clean water. Okay, so clean water may you are supposed to wash the thermometer in a clean water. Why? Because whenever you are using, the affected persons or the person whose temperature was noted first, that temperature can be remain in the thermometer. For that purpose you have to wash the thermometer. After washing you have to give a jerk, एक झटका देना है, so that what will happen, to bring the mercury thread below 36 degree, means normal temperature को लाने के लिए मर्क्यूरी के यू हैव टू गिव अ जर्क. जर्क देते वक्त इतना ध्यान रखना है, यू हैव टू गिव अ जर्क ऑफ अ स्मॉल, जोर से नहीं देना है, थोड़ा सा ही फोर्स यूज करके देना है, बिकॉज इट कैन ब्रेक, इट कैन ब्रेक, thermometer can break. Okay, now while reading the temperature you are not supposed to touch the mercury bulb. Now this is the mercury bulb. Okay, यहाँ पे जो pointed silver color का जो point है, that is the mercury bulb. So you are not supposed to touch the mercury bulb. Now here you can see the thread which is rising to note the temperature, and here the measurements are given through which you can read the temperature of an object. Temperature of an object. Okay, then after use also you have to wash the thermometer. Before use of the thermometer also you have to wash, and after use also you have to wash, so that the mercury temperature should come in a normal temperature. Okay, yes, heat is produced due to the friction also. Then how to read the thermometer? Now there are some numberings on the thermometer. How there are numbering in the scale? आप जो स्केल यूज करते हैं लाइन ड्रॉ करने के लिए कंस्ट्रक्शंस में, व्हेन यू आर यूजिंग इन मैथ्स, व्हेन यू आर यूजिंग द स्केल, इट इज हैविंग डिफरेंट नंबर ऑफ डिविजन्स and small marks are also shown on that scale. So similarly, such divisions are also seen on the thermometer, which are able to read the number and the smaller marks of the thermometer. So it becomes very easy to read the temperature of the thermometer. Then digital thermometer. This is the most easy thermometer that you can use. It is working on cell, as it is digital. It does not carry mercury. Okay, in this type of thermometer mercury is not used, and it is very easy to read the temperature, and most of them are having digital thermometer at your home to note the fever or the temperature of the body. Okay, and it does not require any precautions such as the clinical thermometer. So clinical thermometer, what precaution it requires? Not to touch the bulb, wash the thermometer before and after use, give a jerk. Okay, so these type of things are not to be done with the help in the digital thermometer. In digital thermometer it is not needed, so these precautions should not be taken while handling the digital thermometer. So it is very easy to use a different digital thermometer. Now in this picture you can see there are different thermometers. We have studied first clinical thermometer, second digital thermometer, and now we are going to talk about the thermometer which is used in laboratory. Now in laboratory we are doing certain experiments. Now doing such experiments we require to know the boiling point of a certain object or the melting point of a certain object. So while doing that you have to take some precautions. So what are those precautions? That you have to hold the thermometer upright, not tilted form. So whenever you are using the laboratory thermometer, you should take the thermometer, you should catch the thermometer upright. Okay, and the bulb should not touch the surface of the container. So when you are measuring the object's melting point or boiling point, that time the bulb of the thermometer should not touch the container. That precaution you have to take. You have to hold it upright. You should not touch the bulb should not touch the container, and the bulb should also not be surrounded from any other all sides. So the bulb should be surrounded by the substance from the all side. So it should not exactly dip till the end. It should be catched little bit upper. It should be dipped in the solution whatever you are measuring. So these precautions are supposed to be taken while you are handling the thermometer. Now how does the heat transfer? Okay, now how does the heat transfer? Now when the hot object is placed nearer to the cold object, that time the hot object loses its heat and it becomes cooler, whereas the cooler object becomes warmer. So here I would like to give you one example of milk. So when your mother gives the boiled milk to drink, you are not able to drink that milk, and you have to go outside for playing also. So what you do, you take one container, you take some water in it, and you dip the glass in the water so that the milk will cooler down soon. So when the hot object is placed near the cooler object, the cool object becomes warmer and the hotter object becomes cooler. So they exchange the form of energy. So hot exchange the form of energy with the cold object, and cold exchange the property with the hot object. So this is the example. This means what? The transfer of the heat means flow of heat from one place to another. So how is the transfer of the heat? The transfer of the heat, that is flowing from one place to another, from one place to another. Okay. So this is about the transfer of heat. So transfer of the heat is the flow of heat from one surface to the other surface. Now conduction. So there are three forms of heat. There are three modes of transfer of heat, that is conduction, convection and radiation. So let us try to understand what is conduction. The process of heat that is transferred from hotter end to the colder end, that is known as conduction. So conduction mein what happens? From the hotter end, the heat is transferred towards the colder end. The heat is transferred towards the colder end. Okay, so this is the example of conduction. This is the example of conduction.